how could I be different? And I think any one of your viewers needs to understand that it's not the copycat that will help you. It's how do you make it different? We probably did about 120 sales in the first month. And now I have a warehouse, forklift, employees, payroll, making sure that you have some type of tribe of potential buyers that would help your launch for this particular product, but also for other products within that niche in the future. Have a mentor. Don't have multiple mentors. Have one mentor that you can go to.
What was your job prior to owning the business, and what made you jump into being an entrepreneur, and what inspired you to start an e-commerce and Amazon business?
So let's start here. So I've been a full-time financial advisor for 33 years. This is my 33rd year of doing this. I was with one of the larger financial firms on Wall Street for 25 years, and then I went independent on my own about 8 years ago. And then about 4 years ago, kind of in that pandemic, pre-pandemic kind of era, I have 4 kids, 2 dogs, a wife, and a mortgage payment. But we just started like, what else can I do? I'm not saying my business that I currently do doesn't excite me, because I love what I do. It's just become, I manage money for people, and you do a good job, they keep you. So I really love my clients and what I do for a living. With that said, I kind of embarked on the Amazon path, looked at some things that were for sale, let's say on Alibaba, saw what they could be selling for in the United States. And I was like, didn't take long to put 2 and 2 together, like I'm sure a lot of your audience does. I happened to run into a gentleman by the name of Carlos Alvarez, who runs a kind of like a networking group down here called the Wizards of Ecom. When it was initially started, was the Wizards of Amazon. And so, I trotted down. Unfortunately, he's in my own backyard, and I trotted down and I met him, and I was kind of like, I'm going to show these guys what to do and everything else. And sure enough, no way. I mean, these guys know everything about the entire ecosphere. They've been selling on Amazon before Amazon was really Amazon, and it was just selling books. So I learned a lot from Carlos. And one day, I said, Carlos, help me find a product and a niche to sell. And then he says, come back in a couple of days. I'll give you that example. I'll tell you exactly. I know exactly what you're going to sell. And I'm all excited. I'm thinking, oh my God, this is going to be crazy. What's he going to tell me to sell? I go to my wife, Lisa, what are we going to sell? And I'm thinking, is it going to be like the new Xbox or the iPad or something crazy? And he comes back and he goes, I got it. He goes, you, my friend, are going to sell bonsai pots. And I thought, what? Do I look like a bonsai guy? I mean, I don't know. I don't have the temperament, the quietness, I'm kind of an A-type personality. He goes, you're going to sell bonsai pots. You're going to sell a lot of them. You're going to order from a factory in China that he knows. You're going to box them in a nice, beautiful box, ready to put on a Walmart or a Target shelf near you. Not that we're in big box stores, but that was the story he told me. And you're going to ship them over here, and you're going to sell them on Amazon, because he sees a space in that keyword bonsai pots, where at the time there weren't a lot of sellers in that bonsai space. Now, little did I know back then all about keywords and how to search for products based on search intent and so forth. So I started selling bonsai pots. Well, it takes a little while for that bonsai pot to get made and shipped over to the United States. So of course, me being an A-type personality, I said, Carlos, what else should I sell? He goes, well, I think you should sell bonsai dirt. And I thought, oh my gosh, bonsai dirt. I don't know anything about bonsai dirt. It's not bonsai dirt, it's bonsai soil. So I went to one of my customers who happens to be in the agricultural space. And I said, where on earth would I find this? And she said, well, go to this local company up in Boynton Beach. They can give you any blend of soil that you want. Of course, they could make this no problem. And I said, okay, how much of this stuff do I need to order? A couple bags? And they said, no, you need to order a truck full. And I still have video of this to the day. And I said, all right, before I get ahead of my skis, let me look at the space. And I found that most people were selling soil in a poly bag, and they licked a sticker and put it on it, and that was it. And I thought, I got to do something better. So I believe in quote unquote lipstick on the pig. We're talking about dirt here. So I wanted to make sure my packaging was really nice. So I went to China, and I had my designer, who's been with me ever since, designed a fantastic bag. And then we had them make it. Well, unbeknownst to me, they have to make 10,000 bags at a time. Now, mind you, this is just testing, right? I mean, I haven't even sold a bonsai pot really yet. I mean, this stuff.
Wow.
So now we're doing bonsai dirt. So I don't know what I'm doing. So 10,000 bags in China is the equivalent of buying maybe 800 bags here. Get the bags there. I ship them over here. I have them air freight me over 1,000 bags. So they come to my house. I'm gonna have the bags in my garage, and I call the company up and I say, okay, deliver me a truckload of bonsai soil. They deliver it to my house. I have a gated community, or a gated front yard rather. They put it in the easement. I drop down a blue tarp, put the bag of soil on top, put a blue tarp over it. Okay, now I've got the bags, I've got the dirt. Now I need to bag it. So I went to Home Depot. I hired some employees for the day, and some of them sat there with scoops and a little chair and some Latin music, and they just bagged away and they sealed it. They put it into master boxes, little cart, ran it to the back, and we had 1,000 boxes or 1,000 bags of bonsai dirt that we sent off to Amazon.
Wow.
And the rest is kind of history when it comes to the soil and soil blends. They started selling. I sold out, and I realized that there's no way in the world my community is going to let me package soil outside in the street. So I had to figure out and get a warehouse. And now I have a warehouse, forklift, employees, payroll, because we're getting, flatbed trucks with 2-ton bags of soil bags to bag inside in case of weather and so forth. So now we have 16 different variations of soils that we sell with different bags. Lipstick on the pig is kind of what I'm getting at. So packaging matters. And so whether it's bonsai soil or orchid soil or fiddly fig soil, it's just different soils in different bags. So that's kind of the genesis of it.
Oh man, what a story. When was that at?
2000 and I want to say 2021, 2020, 21.
Oh, so it was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's awesome. And so when you went in, you're like, okay, I'm doing this investment. Like, how much did you invest into the business for? You didn't even know if this was gonna work or not. You're like,
So I would say the bags probably ran me $1,500. That's including shipping over here. The delivery of the soil was like $300. So for the soils, I'm not really in a whole bunch. I paid each one of the guys maybe $100 for that day, but I bagged 1,000 bags, right? 1,000 bags of soil. You sell these for $15. You got to give Amazon its share. It was profitable. For me, it was a win that this actually sold. There was a demand for it. They liked my product more than anybody else's. And I'm selling dirt. There's not a whole lot that can go wrong with dirt or soil blends. And as I got into that space a little bit further, I started to recognize that, oh my goodness, there are other soil blends. So not all soil is created equally. Like bonsai soil is a little bit more of a gravelly texture. Orchid soil is a little bit more kind of a pine barky like. So every soil and every plant has a different kind of need for its different blend. So as you start to just dive in a little bit, you'll find out that there's soil blends for all kinds of things and all kinds of plants and all kinds of aquariums or terrariums or what have you. And those are very keyword specific. So that was the genesis of that. So I would say less than $5,000 to kind of get everything up and running, including, creating listings and A+ content. I did get trademarks, so there's an expense in there as well. I use a guy named Mike Chessel, Chesal. He's part of the brand registry program with Amazon. So get your name approved, get you all the kind of bells and whistles with brand registry. The accelerator, right? Brand accelerator is what they call it.
Nice.
So that was
for the brand registry with Amazon.
Yep.
Nice. So now, are you a bonsai fan? Are you?
I have some bonsais in my house. Most people need to understand, and I had a company that came over to me that was looking at maybe acquiring us, and we just entertained that a little bit. And they said that they had a bonsai growing kit, and I said that's amazing, that's great, and they had bought that as well. And I said, let me guess, you're struggling with the returns on this. And they go, how do you know? And I go, because there's no such thing as a bonsai tree specifically, right? A ficus hedge can be a bonsai tree. Any tree can be a bonsai. And they have to remember that the seed, this is not a tomato plant. It doesn't grow in 7 days. This is a tree. So a lot of the returns and bad reviews they were getting is because they had this amazing kit, but the tree wasn't growing fast enough. Think about how long it takes to grow a tree, maybe a bush or something like that. So people don't really understand the world of bonsai. It's, these are miniature trees or bushes that people get to know. But we've become more of an agriculture company now, other than just, bonsai specific. But our 3 hero products are really bonsai related.
Nice. And was it hard to find a manufacturer to help you with the bagging and the packaging?
Yeah. So what we found was that most US based bagging companies will require their own bags, will require larger sizes of bags. So to me, this is why this hasn't been a saturated area, is because a lot of this had to be hand done or with smaller machinery to kind of bag them and put them into a hopper. And then that hopper fills the bag, et cetera. So really there isn't that kind of, that kind of machinery available, but those are pretty expensive machines that take up a lot of space. So it would be kind of hard, I think, for someone to take that leap of faith to, put 60, 70 grand into a machine, get the right kind of, doy packing machine that's available. So yeah, basically this is hand-to-hand combat for a while, hand bagging, so getting employees to do that is, the entrepreneurial, task at hand. We're problem solvers is what we're doing.
Yeah, definitely. There's always hurdles to jump when you're a business owner and you're trying to solve problems all the time. And yeah, no, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's such a cool concept. I'm looking at your website right now, and you got a very nice collection of products that complement each other, and it's pretty cool. I mean, I'm a bonsai fan myself. I like the bonsai trees. So,
Oh.
so this is a pretty cool collection that you have. Did you start an LLC right away? This is a question that we get a lot from new buyers, and I just want to hear your take on it. Did you start an LLC right away, or did you want to wait and see how the business is going to do?
Yeah, so let's make sure that we differentiate here, right? So if you want to set up a business, I highly recommend that you set up an LLC. Okay. Now your LLC doesn't have to be the name of your brand or your product, so to speak, right? So your product, my LLC could be Tom's LLC, but my company name is Leaves and Soul, right? So that's my trademark name that's owned by Tom's LLC. So, I think that's really important to explain to your viewers that when they're setting this up, it's your LLC. And now underneath your LLC, you can have different trademarks and different brands that are owned by that LLC. So just think about that as kind of an all-encompassing umbrella, to start with, right?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. When you do a trademark under your LLC, do you create a DBA for that trademark, or do you you just run it?
I don't. Yeah, I don't. I just run it. Yeah, I just run it pretty much straight through. So my LLC owns my various brands, or I'm sorry, various trademarks or domains, right, that you're going to buy on GoDaddy or Namecheap or wherever you buy your domains. Your LLC is going to own that. And you really want to do that to protect yourself, limited liability corporation in the event that something does go wrong. It's not underneath your sole name. So definitely as a best practices, it's really there to protect you and insulate you and keep those two separate. So your personal stuff separate from your, limited liability corporation. You're limited to the liability that's in that corporation. So heaven forbid something does go wrong, you're not personally attachable. At least it gives you an extra barrier or layer of protection from yourself.
Yeah, definitely. So that's pretty exciting. So tell me about launching on Amazon. So now you got your products, you got it prepped, you shipped it to Amazon. When did you launch exactly your brand?
Man, I'd have to go back and look at the date of when I launched it. But what I ended up doing is, after seeing success with this, I immediately took the profits and I put it back into more products. So I went back to my fearless leader and coach and best friend, Carlos Alvarez. And I said, now what? And he goes, why don't you do bonsai wire? And I thought, bonsai wire? You gotta be kidding me. So I went and found a source in China and that found bonsai wire for me. And unbeknownst to me, I didn't realize that there was kind of a cross market to this. Stephen Chu, who runs a couple of podcasts, runs a company called Bumblebee Linens, and he didn't realize that linens were sold only to people going through, let's say, graduations or christenings or births, etc. But he found that his linens were being sold to private airplanes and private owners of yachts. I didn't realize that my bonsai wire was being sold and people were using it that were in the jewelry, the DIY jewelry. So they were wrapping, jewels or stones, etc. So they were using my wire kit across many different areas. I looked at that and I thought, how could I be different? And I think any one of your viewers needs to understand that it's not the copycat that will help you. It's how do you make it different, which could be packaging to get the eyeballs. But how do you improve that a little bit? What we did is we included some snippers, and we included a little baggie to kind of collect all your little snippings together. And then we put it into a box. And I encourage, other viewers that you have and other wannabe sellers, order your competitors' products. Order them, see how they get shipped, see what kind of correspondence you get, see what's inside the package. Most of the other bonsai wire kit sellers were selling it in a brown, boring box, no bag, no scissors, that's it. So it's not really giftable. So if I wanted to gift you something, knowing that you're a bonsai lover, some bonsai wire, I'd want to send you a bonsai wire kit in a nice box that says bonsai wire on it. So once again, going back to the genesis of all this, which was putting soil or dirt into a nice bag, putting bonsai wire into a nice bag. There tends to be a theme here that you need to, invest in your packaging and invest in it so that it becomes a giftable item, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. Branding is huge because you could have two products that are exactly the same, but if one is branded in a beautiful way, I mean, people are gonna resonate with it and they're gonna it's all about the emotional connection after all. Emotions sell and the rest kind of, doesn't do as well.
I mean, if I'm gonna order you something and I know that you're a bonsai lover and it's your birthday, I'm gonna send you a bonsai wire kit. And I'm gonna send it to you from Amazon directly to you. And it's gonna come in a package, so it's giftable now. But if I send it to you and you got it and it was a brown box and it didn't have anything on the exterior of it, it loses that kind of, I don't know, surprise or that, connectability with someone who really is a bonsai enthusiast.
And do you show that on the website? So it appears that it's giftable and all of that. So that's like part of your marketing.
Yeah.
It's catered towards gift giving.
Yeah, you'll see people that have 5 rings of bonsai wire, almost like the number 5 on a die, a dice. I'll put mine stacked like a pyramid. I'll put the scissors in front, I'll put the bag behind, and I'll put the box behind it. So now you know everything you're getting, and you're also getting this nice giftable box as well.
That's pretty cool. So I want to just kind of go back a little bit and kind of make it a bit more relatable to our audience, because most of our audience are just beginning with their first product. So your first product was the pots, right? So you launched the brand with the bonsai pots.
Yes.
So that was your first thing before the soil, before the strings, before everything. And you ordered these from China. You found supplier from China, you packaged it, you found the designer, you packaged it, and you got it. Did you ship it straight to Amazon warehouse, or did you ship it to your warehouse and then to Amazon? And
yeah, great questions. I mean, a lot has changed since then, right? Now, so now we have Amazon Global Logistics, we have Amazon Warehousing, so we have a lot of things that weren't in play back then. So what I did, you're going to have to get yourself a shipping bond, right? That's important. So, do you want to have a one-time bond, or do you want to have, a yearly bond? So there's an expense that you need to kind of understand up front. I also went through the process of getting an inspection company, which I highly recommend you do, especially as you're starting out and getting to know your supplier. Kind of puts them on notice that you're a serious player. These shipping bonds don't cost that much. The inspection services are really minimal. $150, $200. We use a company called V Trust. And so what they'll do is they'll inspect it as it's being made. They'll inspect it, before it ships out. They have other services as well, in terms of making sure that container is maximized in terms of, tetrising it and making sure that it's, fully optimized and there's no extra room in there. They have a service called the Golden Sample, where they basically buy 3 of them. One they kind of beat up and they figure out what's made up of that ceramic pot. And then one they keep themselves and the one they send to you. So the idea here is that somewhere in the future, your manufacturer can't come in and change the composition of that ceramic item and go for something cheaper. So you've kind of put them on notice that this is made of, X percentage of materials and so forth. So those are all things that I did at the beginning. So then they were shipped into Miami, Florida, which is where I'm located. And I had this 20-foot container full of bonsai pots with master boxes on it. And I rented a storage facility, one of those kind of orange door, lift up the gate, kind of facilities. And I just put them in there because Amazon only lets you send in 200 of each item at a time. So I really did all the storage myself in one of those, inexpensive, a couple $100 a month, storage facilities. And that's where all my 3,000 pots went. So I bought a green one, a red one, and a blue one, rectangle, oval, and I had to buy 1,000 of each one of them. That was the MOQ. That was the minimum order quantity, right, that I had to get. So,
Oh wow. Okay, so you really went in on this investment because and I admire that, because you really, you wanted to do this, and you just like went on, and you're like, I'm just gonna get, 3 variations of this product, and which is harder to do when you're first getting started, because most beginner sellers, we tell them like start with one product, no variation, because it's a bit easier to manage. Because when you have variation, basically you have 3 different products. It's not just one product, and each one has its own, ups and downs, and you have to deal with its own listing, and it has its own sales. I'm sure one of them sells more than the other 2. So
yeah, so what we did is we actually made one listing with 3 variations on it in the event that you may want to get something to choose from. The idea there is that if you were in the market for a blue one or a green one, or an oval versus a rectangle, you didn't jump off my page. It's almost like you were given 3 items and you had to pick one of them. So I feel like that garnered the sale by having that variational listing on that page.
definitely. And did you get it packaged at the same warehouse, or did you package them back here?
I'd encourage everyone to, once again, do the inspection service, make sure that it's done correctly, get samples, etc. But
Yeah.
everything was packaged fully. So this ceramic bowl or pot rather, was packaged in styrofoam. You could throw it like a football and it would land on the ground and wouldn't break. So breakable was not a concern. An outer box was nice glossy finish with a picture of my pot. It said Bonsai Pot on it, had the color, etc. On the back had your social media handles, whatever else you want to put on there.
Did you have the name Souls and Leaves back then, or
Leaves and Soul was already,
Leaves?
it was already there. So
It was already there?
yep.
That's awesome. And if you don't mind me ask you, how much was your first investment, that first inventory order of 3,000 pots?
Yeah, I think it was somewhere around $6,000. I think my pots were under $2 a pot that we were
Okay,
selling them for 18.
selling them for 18 each. And so, okay, so now you have your first investment, and this is your first time launching on Amazon, right? So you launched your brand, your product first on Amazon, and this is your first launch. What was your feeling? What was it like when you first launched it? How did it do on the first month? Like, what was that experience for you?
Absolutely horrible, scary, horrible, absolutely horrible. Because then you have to, like, this is really, really important for your viewers. I mean, I can't express this enough, because this little nugget I'm going to give you was from Carlos, but it was told to me after I did all this stuff, right? After.
Yeah.
I wish he had told me this beforehand. So I go to Carlos and I say, all right, I've got these 3,000 pots. They're on their way here. They're now here in Miami. I've now shipped them into Amazon, and I've got 200 of each variation in here. How do I sell them? He says to me, oh, I would have already had them sold by now. And I said, what? Don't you think you should have told me that before? Like, what do you mean by that? He goes, well, I probably would have had my own Facebook group of bonsai enthusiasts. I probably would have been, growing that following, kind of what is that book? They ask, you answer, so just try to cultivate a community of bonsai enthusiasts and just talk to them, get that group. And then you can say, hey, by the way, I found this amazing bonsai pot that's really cool. It's on sale on Amazon for $18. You should check it out. So you'd get a lot of sales that way. And then, of course, the dreaded, well, you need to run PPC campaigns. Well, there's not like a switch that you just say advertise. There's a lot that goes into PPC advertising campaigns. And I encourage everybody to learn it. You may not want to do it, but you need to learn it, so that at least when you eventually hire it out, like I do, that at least you understand what those terms mean and what to look for. So maybe because there wasn't really a whole lot of people in the space, we probably did about 120 sales in the first month.
Okay. Without PPC.
With a what was it? An auto campaign, just an auto campaign.
Auto campaign. It's funny you say that, because I had a similar experience when I launched, and I was like, why isn't this moving? And then I'm like, oh, there's advertising, and that's such a good advice that you just gave, because in our course, in our program, we talk about that a lot. Like, try to build a community beforehand. You can actually, not only you can sell and have traffic go towards your listing when you launch, but also you'll have a proof of concept. You'll feel better about your product because you're like, oh, people like this. It's relatable. I'm getting a community getting engaged. Like, you feel a lot better about your product. So now you're like, okay, I know when I launch this, it's going to do well. So I love that you said that, because it's such a under um, underappreciated or undervalued step in the process. Branding and marketing is really, really important. And so did you get engaged with like marketing and social media after that? Like your first launch, you're like, oh, this is not going well.
Actually, no. So I could just kind of like, on the contrary, I just started going. In retrospect, I wish I had grown that community. And to this day, I wish I had grown that community even larger than what, it is now. Some of the things I've learned are I now have a related site to my Leaves and Soul. It's called Hooked on Bonsai, and it's a content site only. That content site is all about bonsai, and it's free. It's just, how do you grow a bonsai? How do you water a bonsai? How do you trim a bonsai? Everything you can possibly think about bonsai. So I have a team of bonsai bloggers that I pay full time that write blogs for me. And we get about 3,500 to 4,500 people a month that visit that site. So it's kind of a lead magnet based on where people want to go and search those products. So you get into SEO and marketing, later on, but I can see the power in that, right? Imagine having 3,500 people organically visit your site just to look at articles, and a pop-up comes up that, hey, you want to buy a bonsai pot? So there's some ways that you can really market your product before it comes to market. And I wish someone had told me that nugget before I kind of just jumped into this.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm guessing those blogs lead to your website, right? They're like leads to your website, to the Amazon listing.
Yep. I mean, we've interwoven in there, if you want a pot or a bonsai wire kit or fertilizer or something of that nature, there's a link that hyperlinks into Amazon. You can later on start uncovering affiliate links where, you send somebody to Amazon, you get whatever they bought over the next 24 hours in their Amazon cart. You can get paid for that. So there's other benefits besides yourself. So there's other little income streams that you can start to implement, which may not pay your mortgage payment, but it may pay for a grocery bill or a gas bill. And as you get these little pockets of affiliate commissions coming in, it just starts to add up a little bit and helps along the way. Every little bit helps.
Definitely. So, I love it. I love the story. And going on the same, not to change the subject, but from the lessons you've learned, what is like 3 mistakes that you've did in the beginning? And I'm guessing that's one of them that we just shared, but it is something that I like to share with our audience, is that what are 3 mistakes that you made in the beginning that may have cost you money?
One, ordering too many products up front. I didn't need to order 3,000 bonsai pots. I think that we all get trapped into the MOQ. And I think MOQ is a very dangerous word to start a conversation with a manufacturer with. It basically said, what's the cheapest you can sell me your product for? And I think maybe a better way of positioning that would be, can you please let me know what your breakpoints are? I'm just starting out with this product launch. If I bought 500, what would the price be? If I bought 1,000 or 5,000, what would the product be? Where are your pricing breakpoints? I think that's a softer way of kind of like telling them, hey, I'm here for the long term, and I've positioned something like 5,000 units and 500 units. Where's that pricing breakpoint for me? So I think that is a better way of positioning it. So just stay away from the MOQ as you meet potential suppliers of your product in the future. Number 2 would certainly be, like we talked about, making sure that you have some type of tribe of potential buyers that would help your launch for this particular product, but also for other products within that niche in the future. It's just going to make your life easier and your acquisition cost a little bit higher. The third thing that I fell into that's really important, consider a replenishable type of product along with your hero product, or your hero product being a replenishable product. So the example I give to some of the people that I talk to is, imagine you're selling a rocking chair. and it costs you a lot of money to advertise that rocking chair to somebody. Well, they're probably not going to come back and buy another rocking chair after you finally got them to buy that rocking chair. So now your customer, for the most part, unless you're selling a rug that goes underneath the rocking chair, or I don't know, something specific for that rocking chair, your customer acquisition or your long-term value of that customer is kind of diminished. So now you have to go out and hunt for another customer again. But what happens if you sell them bonsai wire or fertilizer or soil along with your bonsai pots? Now it's a consumable that they typically will come back and buy it again and again and again. So think about the consumability of a product. I fell into it, but that's something I would definitely encourage sellers to do. I'll give you a fourth little bonus here. Try to source products from the US. I'm going to say a bad word, that the Chinese cannot replicate. Because I just find that it's really competitive. And if there is a unique spot that you find and you grow it, and if they can manufacture it cheaper, they're going to come in and eat your lunch. So US-based products, consumable, if you can.
Yeah, that's a really good advice. And that does happen often. And we get asked quite often, how do I protect my product? How do I make sure it doesn't get copied? I'm like, for the most part, you cannot stop someone from copying you. Anyone could copy you, but you can have the manufacturer sign an NDA, or you can do a patent depending on what kind of product it is. And another thing is the branding. If you have powerful branding, anyone can copy you. But if you have a good branding, like, you're set. Like, people are going to want to buy from you. So thank you for that. I appreciate the tips and the lessons. And I want to now turn it around and be like, what are like 3 lessons or positive lessons that you would have given yourself advice starting up for someone new who's just starting? Like, what are 3 positive advices that you can give them, on their journey? Because like you said, we're problem solvers. We're trying to jump hurdles. There's always something going to be thrown at you when you're a business owner, when you're starting with this. So I just want to take it from you and hear what your like 3 biggest lessons.
Have a mentor. Don't have multiple mentors. Have one mentor that you can go to, that you know and trust. Be open and humble to the process, and don't expect there to be issues. Expect them, and overcome them. And I try to tell people, like, figure out how to break your system, break it, because eventually it will get broken. So the more you can stay in front of it, the better. So it's finding a mentor, understanding that there are going to be issues, and welcome those, as opposed to, fearing them. I think is really, important. Branding is so important. Packaging is one of my, I guess, secrets that I would tell people, to get involved with early on, is to make sure that your packaging is second to none. There are lots and lots of tools out there. My favorite is PickFu, where you can compare your packaging to your competitor's packaging, poll the audience for like $50 and know why they liked yours or didn't like yours compared to someone else's. So that's just stay humble. Always try to be learning. Always try to be sharpening the saw. I now have 6 different brands on Amazon. 3 of them are 7-figure and growing. Just there's so much opportunity that's out there, and do your research beforehand. I know everybody's excited to launch a product. Just talk to your mentor, let this marinate a little bit, map out a plan. I'm a financial planner by trade, so plan this out, and I think you'll have a pretty decent success rate. Have the end result in mind and work backwards till you get to square one. And if you can do that and it's profitable, then you have something to run by your mentor.
I love it. Thank you so much, Thomas. Appreciate it. This was so inspiring.
Yeah, I've got more stuff to share with you, Kamal. I mean, I don't know what your time is like, but I can rattle through a couple things if you want, just for your sake, and see if there's anything you want to pull apart.
Well, I would like to ask you about the first few months of launching, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I would love to, because we kind of like went fast over that. I would like to know like what turned around the curve for you. Because you said the first month didn't do so well. I would like to know how it changed.
Well, I think initially you put your product up on Amazon and you think, I'm done. I'm across the finish line. And really the work is just getting started. You need to get eyeballs on your product. So you need to figure out how to get eyeballs on your products. That means learning PPC. So instead of an auto campaign, now it's, what keywords do I need to use and advertise for? And how can I inexpensively advertise for those keywords? Oh my gosh, I need to do video ads. How do you do video ads? I don't have a production company. I don't know the first thing about doing video ads. Look at a company called promo.com. It does stock video that you can bookend together and make a still of your image, have actual video on either side of it, and make your own product video. So there's ways that you can do that you start to figure out how I can now get more creative with my ads. And that eventually started to turn the corner. So, month one, sales were okay. Started to see some traction. Remember, one of the things I told you is that doing your research to make sure that you're in a blue ocean. You don't want to be in a red ocean full of sharks and competitors. You want to be in a blue ocean where I didn't have a lot of competitors. And most of my competitors to this day still do not have packaging around their bonsai pot. They send it to you in a brown box. So I think that that's an advantage. So look for advantages that you can have. And we slowly started to just continue to ramp up. And then as I added a consumable product, being the soil on board, that just continued to, vindicate and validate that what I was doing was correct, so that therefore I could take that profit, add into another product and another product, et cetera.
And I had a question about, because I noticed on some of your products and a lot of our audience, including myself, we getting the reviews up is one of the hardest things. And I noticed you have a lot of reviews on some of your products. And I wanted to take your perspective on it, and if you do, and if there's anything you do, are these organic, or do you have an initiative towards like getting reviews, customer reviews on Amazon?
Yeah, one of the things that my mentor taught me, Carlos, was don't do anything black hat. Big brother is watching. It's kind of like my kids. They may think that they did something without telling me, but eventually I'm going to find out. Eventually Big Brother will find out if you did something to goose your reviews. So all of my reviews have been organic. I do believe in the Vine program. I think the Vine program is fantastic. If the Amazon influencer program was available back in the day, I would be using that program full tilt, and hiring or giving away product to Amazon influencers to fill up that carousel of, user generated content. I would be doing that like crazy. But no, I didn't incent anybody to do any type of, review manipulation whatsoever. There are other, if I could go back, I would probably put each one of those 3 bonsai pots in 3 separate listings, and then run Vine reviews to each one of them, get 30 reviews for each one of them, and then take those child listings and pull them all together as a parent. So I would have 90 reviews instead of 30 reviews. So there are ways that you can tactfully, I don't want to call it, game the system a little bit, but play within the rules that Amazon has set forth to maximize, reviews. But certainly paying for those Vine reviews up front, it's a cost and expense. But I think that once you get reviews on your product, your PPC spend will decrease. So your advertising costs will decrease. So it may be a cost up front, but you're going to recoup that down the road easily.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Thank you for that. And what are some of the stuff that you wanted to share with us?
I got into fertilizers. So
okay,
I sell fertilizers, and I sell them across the different plant variations. I would encourage your audience to look for keywords that are relative to it. So I'll give an example. We sell a peace lily fertilizer. I also sell 16 other fertilizers across different plant variations, but peace lily fertilizer, I did not know that it was going to be my #1 seller. But if you type in peace lily fertilizer on Amazon, we're the #1 seller. And next to me is Miracle Grow, but it's a generic Miracle Grow. It sells it to everything, right? And the other side is Job's. But my grandma is probably going to buy the one that says peace lily fertilizer because she has a peace lily plant and it said peace lily fertilizer. So it's got to be specific to that plant. So whereas Job's and Miracle Grow, I beat them because I used my keyword research to find it. So look into what I call, cloning or using that product across it. I can give you an example of like lubricants. You can get the same lubricant, but you can call it Jeep, zipper cleaning lubricant. Lubricant for elliptical machine, a lubricant for treadmill, lubricant for, bicycle chain. So you can use that same lubricant and just put a different label on that bottle. So look for things that you can kind of cross market with, when you supply that kind of stuff. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, we do use that strategy quite a lot. We use a tool called Helium 10 to do like keyword research. Also, we utilize Google Ad search. Search analyzer where it shows you like the search volume on search and certain keywords. It's funny you say that actually. Travis's last product, which is doing really well, he just launched, it's called Carnivore Electrolytes.
Mm.
And it's similar to your Peace Lily fertilizer analogy. You know, it's a carnivore electrolyte, so it's an electrolyte targeted for people who are on the carnivore diet. So there's a high surge volume of carnivore electrolytes, but no one is selling specifically a carnivore electrolyte. So
Yeah,
these are
wouldn't it be really smart for someone to get with the API that comes from Amazon and some type of new AI that's out to ask Amazon what words are being searched for that don't have a corresponding product to them, right?
that's pretty good.
Yeah. Another little thing that we've run across, go to trade shows. I think trade shows help a lot. Not just the Canton Fair. That's amazing in itself, but go to trade shows in your niche, whether it's gift, wedding gifts, pets, kids, whatever that niche is that there's a show for everything. There's a soap making show. There's a perfume show. I mean, there's anything that you could possibly have. There, the SEMA car show, there are outdoor shows, survival shows. We went to the licensing trade show, and I just actually first part of this year we actually consummated a co-branding partnership with the American Red Cross. So we sell a distilled water for CPAP users. So CPAP users need to use the distilled water in their breathing machine so bacteria doesn't grow. But we were able to co-brand with the American Red Cross. So now the American Red Cross is on our brand as well. So we think that's going to help us drive a lot more traffic, and you're going to get that kind of brand notoriety with them. Surprisingly, these branding and licensing relationships are not as expensive as you think, as long as you think the way that they think. So think about white spaces is what they refer to them as, where they're not playing. If I had gone to the American Red Cross and said, hey, I want a first aid kit, they'd be like, cool, we got that covered, But if I went to them with distilled water for CPAP users, they're not in that space. And they're thinking to themselves, not a lot of risk here, and I can get a little bit of a royalty. That's a white space that not a lot of people are playing in. So I think some of those licensing shows present some opportunities where, some low hanging fruit that you may not be, aware of.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Expanding beyond Amazon is really good. And we talk about like expanding into Walmart and retail and you want to expand you don't want to put all your baskets in one.
Yeah.
I mean, all your apples in one basket.
Yeah. Well, the co-brand is just unique because now you pick up the keyword. Now you pick up the keyword of the American Red Cross in search. So the American Red Cross and distilled water. Now I can pull in everything else it may be a long tail keyword that I may not get. If you're going to grow on other platforms, I highly recommend, growing it on your own Shopify or whatever platform that is, and start collecting that data and collecting those emails. Those things are treasured, and they're, I think people are just thinking that email is dead, and it's not. It's a great way to ring the cash register. It really is.
Email marketing is huge, and to tap into it, this is one of the pitfalls about Amazon, is that you don't get customer emails or contact information. And if there's a way for you to find that, I think it's gold, because email marketing is really important. It's a way of reselling or introducing new products to the same customers. Because if a customer buys from you a bonsai pot, they might be interested in bonsai soil, they might be interested in gifting a bonsai pot to someone, or, and the cycle keeps going, because the possibilities are endless, basically.
Absolutely.
And if you have their contacts, you have access to marketing to their inbox, all year, every year, until they opt out, obviously. But
yeah, I've been working with a guy by the name of Dave Miz. He runs a company called the Email Experience. So if you get north of 10,000 emails, what they do is they do AI with emails. And essentially what this is, Kamala, is it's the old A/B testing they don't do. So let's say 51% of the people liked the fact that you sent them marketing that had to do with a video, and the other 49% was just a still photo. So A/B testing the old way would say, okay, we're going with the video, that's it. But they would leave that other 49% out there. So what they do is they actually do both. They send the 49% of the people the still advertisement and the 51% of the people. So they capture all of it by using AI and making sure that they're actually being very specific as to what you responded to.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's clever.
AI tools are changing everything now. That's another set of tools that you have to add to your toolkit with your business.
Yeah, it's there. It's definitely there. ChatGPT is on every day.
Well, thank you, Thomas. I appreciate it. This was great. I mean, I loved it. I certainly learned a lot. I'm sure our audience are learning a ton. And thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing all this knowledge, all this information. I want to congratulate you on all the success.
Thanks.
I love seeing and hearing successful stories like yours, and this is a good one. And
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. More to come, right? So let me know if I
yeah,
can help in any way or help your viewers anyway. Happy to help, man.